Good day, this 28th day of January, meaningful moments, 365 days. I want to share with you a little bit about healing today. Oftentimes, healing is thought of as an event, something that we have been wounded by, and then we heal from it. And for me, my whole life as an educator, education was always synonymous with healing. Like they were linked intrinsically together, going hand in hand. A whole education of this life journey, a whole healing that is happening. And it's not just for any one of us or one wound or the wounds. It's about the healing of the whole. So this little bit that I'm about to share with you is about a meaningful moment that occurred this morning. In the wee hours of this morning, on the full moon, the wolf moon, I wanted to share with you that I had an experience of a dream. And I won't go into the details of the dream because that's for my interpretation and my understanding. But what I do want to share with you was that feeling that I know you all have had in different ways. Perhaps it was a dream, perhaps it was through some experience that you had, a counseling, a medicine, something that helped you to heal. But in that healing, we experience this feeling of this place that we go to where the point of the wound occurred. And suddenly the entry into that wound and moving through the pain that courses through your being. Again, being, not just body, not just mind, but your whole being, because it's there kind of imprinted in our energy field. That moment that you move through that pain, there's a release. And that release that happens, you can feel like you come out of the water from holding your breath too long, and you gasp for air. It's like the air comes in, right? And all of a sudden we feel that renewal, and that's literally life energy, often moving through that block of wherever it was kind of bound and stuck, or where the wound kept getting reopened again and again until we really have healed it. So this morning I had a dream, and in the dream I went back to a point in time, and they weren't real actual occurrences that happened because it was all kind of archetypal and metaphors sort of weaving through the dream like a story. But it was me definitely at a point in time in my own childhood, and a sensation of the individuals that were around me, part of the story at that moment, and all reflections of my own self, and a retrieval of my own girl at that time, and the being who would later be a young woman, and a grandmother, and a wise woman. All those string together because every one of us are on this type of a journey as we unfold in our own consciousness. And so in the dream, when I went to that moment of the wound that was inflicted, there was something that was being looked upon me as if though something was wrong with me, and that's what was coming out. And it was almost literal, like, checking to see if something was wrong with me, like a doctor checking me kind of thing. And all I could think of was, why couldn't they see? Why couldn't they see how beautiful I am? That point of soul retrieval, I believe, is a universal one. But then I could feel that suddenly it was interconnected. It was interconnected with what I perceived as other family members, one of my own children, and the journeys that we're undertaking together simultaneously, all healing this wound, which is this, perhaps this feeling that we fell out of grace at some point, that something was wrong with us and that we couldn't be seen. And it's reclaiming how beautiful I am. This very important piece is something that lies within every human being in reclaiming their power and understanding how beautiful they are. And while many of us become conscious and aware that we're out to become healed, become educated in this way of connecting with ourselves on all different levels. You know, it comes in different ways, from the physical to the emotional to the mental and onward. But this healing that we do isn't just for us. It's absolutely interwoven to the healing of all those parts of us, which are all our relationships, and beyond that, into the world. So this is part of that meaningful moment, because upon that dream going to that moment of pain, the soul retrieval, the healing, the release, the love, the reconnection and re-knowing, or the reclamation of who we are, who I am, that's the piece that's healing the world. And you know, sometimes we have multiple wounds, but they all stem back to this piece of how beautiful I am. That statement to say to yourself, how beautiful I am. Now it can be in the form of affirmations or whatever other tools you want to use, but the integration, and sometimes it takes time until we remove that imprint completely, that is where the wound occurred. And we go into that space of how beautiful I am. That's the piece that we want to retrieve. That's the piece that we want to anchor in. That's the full integration, body, mind, and soul. And for that sweet little dream that brought so much sobbing at that moment and so much healing at that moment, simultaneous, mind you, parallels, and then released out. And I believe it was also in the healing of all those that were connected to that moment and are right now. And even in a phone call that I had with my youngest son, and some pieces he's going through, the last of my 4, and going through those teenage years. And that conversation, the sharing of the dream and the conversation, as I saw myself in him and I, and how to clear those records, how to cut away the pieces that bound us and clear the energy. And so that was the piece that was so healing today. And in that piece was where the fuller integration of this healing for the whole was deeply experienced and felt within my being. So for every moment that we are in presence, feeling the fullness of our being, feeling the healing, we are being educated in this journey of life. So for all the wounds out there and all the healings, know that we are one, moving through this time and healing together. Oh, hey.